Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming and listening to our session. Absolutely delighted to have André and Chandra with us. I don't know about you, I was just delighted I didn't fall down those stairs. Otherwise, that would have created some good moments. I'm delighted to share as well some of a few pieces of content that Sporting have put together that will be hopefully of value for the session as well. And Andre and Chandra are going to talk through some of those elements with us in due course. But Andre, if I can turn to you, if that's okay, at first instance. I'm always fascinated in your role as someone that leads the strategy for a football club. You internally have developed, I guess, a strategy and an internal process for a No Bricks in the Wall campaign. And it would be fascinating just to hear for a few minutes about actually how you've gone about doing that and the purpose behind it.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. We named our content strategy from a song from the Pink Floyd, The Wall, and that's the reason why behind that is that if you Roger Waters, that wrote the lyrics, he gave an interview where he explains that the reason why he wrote the lyrics and the bricks in the wall refers to the bricks or the events or people or situations that in some point in life we built a wall that creates barriers between us and society, other people, etc. So we picked up that because when we got to Sporting, when we entered Sporting, I think the situation not only of Sporting, but in terms of the sports ecosystem in Portugal, was a little bit like that. So there was a big wall between athletes and clubs and fans. Okay, I believe that to be for mainly three reasons, in my opinion. One is that the Portuguese market was and still is a little bit less entertainment driven from when you compare to the US or Canada or even the UK. So it's a little bit more conservative on that. Secondly, also because of that, I think that there was much of this superhero glorification of the athlete, which is at some extent positive, but it becomes, in our opinion, or it can become negative in the sense that, well, they're human beings, and some of them come from a tough background, and they make errors like we make errors, and etc. So there's just normal people with obviously very, very talented skills, and also I think that created a little bit of too much of a wall between athletes and the fans themselves, which can become less positive. I will extend on that because of our particular situation. Third reason, I would say, because of the specific situation of Sporting, because when we joined, this was 4 years ago, unfortunately we had just recently had an attack from 40 hooligans into our training academy where they attacked the players, and so that obviously raised a big wall, a lot of bricks in the wall that still exists today, because obviously this, not only from athletes but from the structure itself to protect and cause barriers. Okay, and coincidence or not, there's an episode that Roger Waters comments on his interview where he mentions that he's attacked by a fan on stage. Okay, and that's one other reason why he created another brick on his wall that separates fans from athletes. And what we wanted at the end was to have no bricks on the wall. That's where the name comes from. So the idea is that we progressively remove the bricks from that wall, but because what we want obviously is to create bridges between clubs and athletes and the fans. And so the whole purpose of the no bricks in the wall comes from that.
Thank you, Andre. So I think if it's okay, let's quickly play the video, and hopefully you'll see what Sporting mean.
Onda Verde à Esperança. Feliz Natal.
So I think the interesting thing about there, we talked in preparation beforehand, was actually about how in football especially, as in life, there are always highs, there are always lows. You were able, as you talked about just before, from a strategy, from a content perspective, to be able to turn around a difficult incident in the club's history and move it into a positive. That obviously takes a lot of bravery, actually, on the part of the club. What were some of the reasons or the ideas behind doing something like that as a result?
This video actually has two funny things regarding what we were mentioning, which is the idea from the movie actually came from the fans. So there was a group of fans that came up with this idea, and one of the members of the fans knew someone from the board, and so they presented this idea. We thought it was a perfect idea, so we grabbed it, and that's funny because again, we built immediately a bridge with the fans coming from such a terrible episode. Second is, for those who don't know the video so well or the situation, the first part of the video represents the cameras, the surveillance cameras, where you see the attack with the hooligans coming in. And the whole idea was exactly to turn the negative into a positive, because sports is mainly 99.99999% positive, you know? And most of the times what we see is the 0.00001 that is negative and that is inflated by media and overall because you have aggressions and violence, but that's the minimum part of football, okay? And obviously what we want to show and what the video want to show is exactly, you know, kids coming over, and some of the players that are in the video were actually part of the attack. They were there in the attack, they were attacked by players, so this is also emotionally difficult for them because we had to convince them, look, let's turn the negative into a positive, and it was a good strategy, I believe, in the sense that we brought not only one thing that was very negative to positive, but also it was important to show to the players that we can turn this around, you know. We have to do it together. Again, we have to take the bricks off the wall and keep on working and to show the positive side of football.
I really like that approach. So Chandra, I'm going to come to you in a second if that's okay.
Yeah, no worries.
So just for everyone, Chandra's come straight from training this morning. I was explaining to her basically, she was apologizing to us. And I said, look, to be fair, you're the elite athlete out of us, so that's no problem at all. In a second, we're just going to play the second piece of sporting content, which again, I think symbolizes something really interesting from a sporting perspective too, which is one of the first ever female-only campaigns for a multi-club sports organization. So after that, I'm going to then come to you, Chandra, if that's okay, just from your experiences and insights as well. But if we can play the second piece of content, that would be great.
We are the lionesses. Our instinct is to defend the sporting family. Whatever it costs, we do it for the pride. This is one of our responsibilities. Lionesses take care of their own. And attacking is our best defense. Defend the land.
So hopefully we're mixing some tech with some conversations as well. But Chandra, from your perspective, you've been at Sporting now for a couple of years. You've had quite a lot of success with Sporting as well, which is fantastic. What do those type of campaigns generally say about your experiences at the club and your experiences more broadly in the sport?
Yeah, so this is my second season at Sporting, and I can confidently say that every single year the women's game is growing, and it's just an exciting time to be a part of women's football. You can see it all across Europe, all across in the United States, especially that the game is just, it's growing so much and there's still so much room for improvement. Campaigns like this, Sporting has definitely been promoting women's football more, and they've done that through their videos, especially their social media. We've had multiple times where the men's social media will promote our games, they'll promote just different things about our team, and it really helps us. We also have signings. Like an example, we had a signing before the men's game, and that just was to promote our final Taça da Liga game, and we were signing papers for about 4 hours, which was crazy to me to experience that. And it also tied into the men's side because it was before one of their games. We train all the way in Alcochete, which is 30 minutes away, so sometimes I don't really get to see all the fans who want to be there. So the fact that we had that chance to do that in Lisbon was just like a great opportunity to see all the support and everything. And they also hung the women's jerseys, which was great to promote that. And yeah, I just think that the game is growing so much, and I'm just so happy to be a part of it. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you something else as well, which is maybe some broader trends, for example. So, I don't like talking about footballers in terms of giving it a label like men's football or women's football, for example. It's one game, it's one sport.
Yeah.
That very much fits in, André, to what you were saying. But in terms of now, you've had experience from North America perspective, you've come to Europe. It almost feels a little bit like there is real momentum building in Europe. We saw a fantastic Euros. Obviously, my country won, which was a bonus for us. We've got a World Cup coming up soon as well. And it seems that we're really starting to get thriving domestic European leagues as well, like we're seeing across Europe. Is that something you're seeing as someone that is an elite athlete, but also as someone that, from listening to you give talks as well, is very positive about sport generally and where football can go?
Yeah, definitely. As I said, every year it's growing in a positive direction. I think there's so much room for us to do more, but as a woman athlete, I feel like we're finally getting the respect we deserve. So from Canada, they don't have a women's league, so that's why a lot of talented athletes we have to go overseas after college. There's no other way to keep pursuing your dream job. Like, I don't know, I had no other opportunity other than to come across to Europe to play. So I hope that it continues to evolve, and I hope it'll do that in Canada as well. And yeah.
Can I ask then just one brief thing before I turn back to André in a second, if that's okay? Because obviously, and I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, the pathway from Canada to Portugal is not a usual pathway, especially men's, never mind women's football. How does that type of opportunity arise, and what are the types of things that you're thinking about when making the decision to change, from one continent to another, and how that transition went for you?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't an easy transition. I'm a very big homebody, so I miss my family and everything a lot, but their support comes in all different forms. And like I said, I'm originally from Canada, but I went to college in the United States, and there's a lot of talented athletes that you either move to Europe and you make that big step, or you stop playing because there's no league in Canada to play professionally, to make a living off of it. So it was definitely a big jump for me, but something that I knew I would regret if I didn't do it. I knew I had the talent, the professionalism, so it was the best decision I've ever made to come over here, but it's not an easy journey, and definitely it takes a lot of courage to come over here by yourself to a foreign country where you don't speak the language. But I would encourage anyone who has a dream and a goal to play to do it. And that's where I hope that more opportunities open up, especially for Canadians in the sports world, maybe to stay in North America and play there as well. So, yeah.
Thank you. André, if I can come back to you, if that's okay now. So, the thing I know as a football fan, as someone who is a lawyer in the football industry, just like we all work in this sphere, sometimes with all of the best intentions, a lot of the things are determined on the pitch, as we've seen last night, unfortunately, but also from my team, Liverpool, over the years, losing finals, etc. How is it possible to try and balance being proactive, coming up with innovative strategies like the one we have seen, with obviously the point that things need to go well on the pitch in order for it to come together in a good idea?
Well, it's definitely, I would say, the biggest challenge that you have in a sports organization compared to others, in the sense that we do have to manage timing, I believe, a lot better, or a lot wiser, or more carefully, if you want, than other organizations. So obviously, timing is always important. In the specific case of sports, I think it's even more important. For example, when we started our content strategy, we first started with Inside Sporting, which showed the training sessions that usually people don't see. Then we launched a podcast to give a little bit of the other side of the human side of the athletes. But for example, we had a content, a type of content that was more fun content. It was called Lions Duets, and it's a more fun content. And we were very cautious to when to launch that content. Okay. Also, the other ones also, because you have to know the exact timing where the audience will receive that content. Sometimes you can control it, sometimes you can't control it. Also, it's important to realize that sometimes you cannot stop everything just because the results on the pitch didn't work, you know. But you do have to and sometimes we stop it, we delay it. Some contents just go to the garbage because they lost their timing, which is very stressful, especially for our video team and content team. But at the end, that's how you have to manage. But also, I think that the content strategy as or supports a goal that we have, that we want people, fans, to obviously, the results will obviously always be there to decide where people are more happy or are unhappy with the team, with the board, etc. But it's important that people realize that there are various random factors that we do not control in sports. Okay, we just came from a loss yesterday, as you can imagine. This was already decided I was going to talk here today. It's probably not the best timing. We're going to release a content tomorrow called Green Quest. That everything is set. We're not going to stop it, but also people won't receive that content as good as they would if the sports side was so good. So we do have to balance that, and I would say timing is one of the most challenging factors, and it's a roller coaster of positive and negative. But the overall strategy is also that people see that there's a purpose to the strategy that goes beyond the content, obviously, and that. Yes, sometimes we make mistakes, but sometimes there are factors that we do not definitely control. There's the referee, there's a bad day, there's a lot of things. So that's how we know where we want to get. Then we balance the timing. We don't stop doing what we want. Some things we just hold on. Some we don't launch. Others we do it in a better timing. So I think it's timing management. I think it's quite relevant.
And on that point, unfortunately, I would probably, I think, have to blow the full-time whistle on this conversation. It's gone too quickly, I'm afraid, and I'd love to have chatted to you more. But André and Chandra, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and hopefully we'll get the chance to chat again soon. If we can give it up for the two guests. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.